everybody. My name is Kirsten Winkler, and this is the first episode of my new interview series called EDUKWEST. And together we are on the search for better education. And today with me is Jon Bischke, amongst other, the founder and CEO of edufire.com. Hi, Jon. Great to have you on the show.
Hi, Kirsten. Good to be here.
Okay, so before we talk about the groundbreaking EduFire SuperPass, let's take a step back for our viewers who might be new to the education revolution world. And so please tell us a bit about your personal background and the road that took you to launching EduFire.
Yeah, so I've been involved with education over the internet for over 10 years. I helped start a company back in 98, I guess it was, doing Microsoft and Cisco training online. And we grew that business out. We had about 100,000 IT professionals who were coming to our website for training on Microsoft and Cisco certification. And we sold that company in 2001, but it was really kind of my first foray into how do you use the web to allow teachers to be able to reach a wider audience of students. So I've done a couple of other businesses since then, and we launched EduFire in 2007 with really the goal of creating this platform for people to be able to teach other people live over the web.
Cool. And when I read on your older posts on your blog eduref.com, I found a post from May 2008 when you said, I needed EduFire of 2009, 2010 today. So where is EduFire today? And do you have it where you wanted it back in 2008 or early 2008?
Yeah, I mean, I think every entrepreneur would always love for their business to grow faster. I don't know that anyone's ever said that they want it to grow slower. But everything's been going really, really well, and it's very much on target for what we envisioned when we started the company. We've transitioned a little bit. When we started, we were primarily focused on one-on-one tutoring sessions. Now we've moved into offering classes, and the classes have been very well received. We started out as just being language training. Now we've expanded into things like computer training and test prep and business skills. And so everything is really, really on pace. I think that the biggest question in our mind is, we still feel that the market for online learning is still relatively small, but it's growing very fast. And so it's a question of, when does this market become very mainstream, where when people think about, I want to take a class or I want to do a tutoring session, they don't even think about, driving anywhere or seeing someone face to face. They immediately hop on the internet and they start looking for things.
Yeah, right. So that's true. When I think back, I think I joined EduFire back in April or May 2008. And at that time, it was really a language learning platform, whereas today you can basically learn everything on EduFire. And at the beginning, was this part of the master plan, or was it like the community that took it in this direction or decided that for you? So how did it come about?
Yeah, I would say it's a combination of both. I mean, from the initial stages, we had no intention of just simply being only a language learning site. So, we definitely had more in mind, but also, the community helped to basically pull this out of us. So when we launched our platform and we had categories like Spanish and French and English, we started to see people posting classes in, say, the English category that weren't language learning classes. And so we really listened to, and that's one thing that we've prided ourselves on, is really listening to our community and being very responsive to what they want. And as we saw people wanting to use the platform for other things besides languages, it just made perfect sense.
True, and that is one of the great strengths of EduFire, I think. So a couple of days ago, I read a survey conducted by the New York Times that asked people to recall what they do during the day. And concerning education, it was interesting for me to see that in the US, learning after the age of 25 is basically non-existing anymore. Whereas in Europe, we have the idea of lifelong learning, and that is even a goal like set by the European Union, like with an own commission that takes care of it. And so where do you see EduFire in this surrounding or this framework, talking about customer age groups?
Yeah, so I think that's something that's starting to change, and I think people are realizing increasingly, especially now in this down economy, that the world's changing very fast, and people always have to be looking to upgrade their skills. If they're not, they just simply become irrelevant, in terms of their careers. So we think that there's a huge opportunity, and EduFire caters much more to the adult learner. A lot of times people think of education, especially in the U.S., and they immediately think of, little kids, sitting in the classroom somewhere. And really, the majority of people who are coming to EduFire are people who are, they've graduated from high school. Many of them have graduated from college. They're looking to, refine their skills or learn something new for personal enjoyment. And that's really the market that we cater to, more so than kind of the traditional student per se. I do think that, the market for adult education and lifelong learning is one that's we're just scratching the surface. And if you see kind of some of the numbers, you realize that this could be a very explosive industry in the coming years.
Right, and I think the data seems to prove like what you just said. When I have a look on the Alexa.com website, then the age group of the 25 to 34-year-olds is overrepresented on EduFire, and so they even seem to use EduFire from the campus or from their school, as this is also overrepresented compared to other websites. So I think it's definitely a good trend, and the market goes in this direction, what you said. Okay, so let's talk about the SuperPass now. So tell me a little bit about it. What is it? How much does it cost? And what is the idea behind it?
Sure. So when SuperPass really got started, we had a lot of people coming to the site, and they saw the wide variety of classes that were available on EduFire. And one of the challenges, and I'll be the first person to admit this, is that there's a lot of classes there, and sometimes it's very difficult to make a decision as to what types of classes you want to take. So what we found was that rather than having someone come to the site and have to make kind of a yes/no decision on every single class they saw, could we basically wrap this into some sort of a subscription service where once somebody came to the site, they experienced a couple classes, they knew that EduFire was right for them, then rather than having to make that decision, they could simply just join the SuperPass membership, and now they would have access to basically unlimited classes. And we launched this, really a little bit over a month ago, so it hasn't been out there that long, but we've seen some really good uptake, both from the students and from the teachers. I think there's over 300, maybe even over 400 SuperPass classes on the schedule now, so huge variety of classes. We've had a lot of students who've signed up and have really been excited about this, because for them it represents the opportunity to learn, in a live environment. It's, a lot of people, when they hear about EduFire, they think immediately it's like YouTube where you're just watching videos, but, it's live classes from actual instructors, and they can do it whenever they want. They can do it as much as they want, and they're simply paying a low price each month. So it's been very well received, both on the student side as well as on the teacher side.
Mm-hmm. And is it also built to attract a younger customer group, as the price of like $29 per month at the moment is such an attractive one?
Yeah, I think so. Both a younger group and a global group. I think that the price of education online will certainly fall, just as as the music industry has moved online, the price of music has fallen. It's going to be the same thing with education, and we wanted to put it out there at a price point. And we don't know if it's going to be $29 forever. I mean, it might go up, it might go down, but we wanted to put it out there as a price point that was affordable for most people, and especially for people in other parts of the world, because in the U.S. you might have someone who's looking to learn a language, and for them to spend $1,000 to go to a course, maybe that's affordable. It's not affordable for most people in India or Pakistan or other parts of the globe. So we wanted to throw SuperPass out there in a format that could be accessible not just by people in the U.S. and the U.K., but indeed by a global audience.
Very true and very nice. Good. And how does the SuperPass help your concept of the teacher rockstar?
Yeah, so I think what's great about SuperPass is that, we pay the teacher a flat fee for every SuperPass student they have in the class. And so the way that it works is essentially with SuperPass, once you put a class on the schedule, you're much more likely to get more students in that class, because all the people who are SuperPass students, now they can take that and it's not going to cost them any additional money. So a teacher may find with SuperPass that the amount of money that they make per student is going to be lower, but they're going to get a dramatically higher number of students in their classes. And And for them, for most of our teachers, like if they can have a choice between, 10 students and making, more per student, or 30 students and making a little bit less but making more overall, they'll take the class of 30. So for most of the teachers that we've seen, there's been very few teachers who have put classes on the schedule that have not been part of SuperPass. And we give them that ability to do that because we definitely don't want to force SuperPass onto anybody. But most of the teachers who have created classes where they charge money for those classes do put them as part of SuperPass.
Okay, so on the one hand, SuperPass helps teachers to fill their classes. And how much do the most successful teachers earn on EduFire at the moment already?
Yeah, so teachers are doing really well on EduFire. Some of the top teachers right now will make $50, $100, or more dollars per hour, which if you're a teacher, and I taught for Kaplan when I was in college, and, Kaplan would pay me $20 an hour, and they'd turn around, they'd charge the student maybe $100 an hour for sitting in my classes. And, we just don't feel that that's a sustainable model. So the great thing about what we're seeing with EduFire is that the teachers are making, very good money on an hourly basis. And we're only getting started. So if they're making $50 an hour now, and maybe they have 15 students in their class, we expect by this time next year, maybe they've got 40 students in their class, and they're making $200 an hour.
So I have to say I was quite surprised that the revenue per student is going up since you've launched the SuperPass, because I thought it had to go down. So are that many people already buying the SuperPass?
Yeah, so we've had a lot of people buy SuperPass, and what's great is that SuperPass I think complements the other stuff that we do very well, because somebody who comes to the site, they may not be so sure that they want to take a teacher either for a paid class or a tutoring session, but SuperPass allows them to kind of dip their toe in the water. And we offer with SuperPass a $1 7-day trial. So what somebody can do if they want to is they could come to the site, pay $1, and then for 7 days they could just sample a bunch of teachers. And at the end of 7 days, they might decide I want to, maintain, keep being a SuperPass subscriber. But they also may find that, when I've got one teacher that I found that I really like, and I want to take tutoring sessions with that person, or I want to take that person's, a la carte classes that aren't in SuperPass. So we actually think in the numbers borne this out so far that, the SuperPass will not only provide revenue for people who teach within SuperPass, but will actually help teachers who are doing, non-SuperPass classes and private tutoring sessions as well.
So where do you see personally the potential? When I talked to Koichi, he said he sees teachers earning between $200 to even $300 per class. And do you think this will be possible?
I think it probably will happen within a matter of months. I mean, I think that, for a teacher right now, we pay, about $3 and some change for each SuperPass student that is in a class. And, if you get a class of 50 students, which, a good instructor can do, I mean, you're already making almost $200 an hour. So, I think that, obviously the most important thing right now is for the teachers to do a really good job of selling themselves, building their brand, building their audience. But, what's great about this is that if you find students that are really interested in learning from you, and you do a really good job delivering value to them, you're only going to grow over time. And so SuperPass, I think, is a great thing for teachers who are really invested in the long term and building their business online versus somebody who just wants to do like a quick, one-time class and make a lot of money. It's probably not the best thing for you. But if you're interested in building your business, via, your web-based teaching business via something like EduFire, then SuperPass makes a lot of sense.
Right, and talking about seeing it over the long term, so was it planned like this? Did you plan the SuperPass as EduFire over the long term? So are you working, or have you been working on this project for a long time?
So SuperPass wasn't in the works when we started. It was something that we listened to a lot of feedback. We talked a lot about it internally. And, we probably started working on SuperPass or thinking about it about 6 months ago. So it took us, some time to build the payment mechanisms and think through how we wanted to do it. The critical thing that we think a lot about is how do we set up something that allows teachers to make a living over the web. And the challenge, I think, with a lot of websites that have kind of been, in our space is that they don't make it easy for a teacher to make consistent money on the site. So maybe the teacher, runs a bunch of classes and they make, money for a little bit of time, but how do you, ensure that, month in, month out, that teacher knows that they're going to get paid, $1,000 or $2,000, and as soon as that starts to happen, then teachers start to think, okay, I can actually build my business completely via the internet. And that's what eBay and some of these other companies, they did a really good job of getting people to think, not only am I able to make, a little bit of money, but I can actually make a living doing this online teaching.
Yeah, that's great to hear for me as a teacher, and I think to many teachers out there. So do you see SuperPass as the breakthrough for EduFire and for online education in general?
Well, I hope so. I mean, obviously, it's not the only thing that we focus on, and there's other things that we're working on right now too that we think will be even more exciting coming up, later this year and into next year. But we feel SuperPass was a big step because we feel that for the first time, a student has the ability to come, and it's very similar to when Netflix launched their service. Prior to Netflix, you had to pay for every single DVD that you wanted to rent, and Netflix came along and they said, well, for a monthly fee, we're going to give you unlimited access to all these DVDs, and it really made it very great for the consumer who, said, wow, this is a fantastic opportunity, but also did a lot of good stuff for the movie industry as well and for the studios, because now people were able to sample movies. They had a wider selection of movies. So, if you want to call SuperPass Netflix for education, I wouldn't stop you from doing that.
So that leads exactly to my next question. Where do you see EduFire in 1 year from now? When I read your old blog, you wrote quite a bit about micro-learning, and Kareem came up with the idea of teaching on demand. So is this idea still on your radar, or are you heading in a totally different direction?
Yeah, so kind of two questions there, and I'll answer the first one first. As far as where we will be in a year, I mean, we just ran the numbers as to where we were a year ago, and we're actually, in terms of activity on the site and traffic and users and everything, we're about 10 times as big today as we were a year ago. So, I can't guarantee that we're going to be 10 times as big a year from now as we are today, but we've definitely seen some really good growth in the last year. Hopefully, yeah, exactly. As far as, some of the stuff that I think about, so one of the things that's great is that the technology is increasing at such a rapid clip, and I think that what you'll start to do is you'll start to see, people taking, I heard yesterday somebody taking an EduFire class via their mobile phone, and I think that's a really awesome opportunity. You'll start to see people, looking at how can they, teach different types of subjects on EduFire. One thing that I think we don't have a lot of yet that's a big opportunity is people teaching more kind of in-depth classes that allow people to maybe find a new job or get promoted or, start a company. So really focused around, because if you tell somebody, if you take this class, you'll be able to make $5,000 more next year. I mean, people will pay for that type of stuff, and that's something that we don't have a lot of happening, but I think that will change. As far as the second question, in terms of some of the things that we've talked about, I think that, the on-demand learning is fantastic. And right now, what's great about a platform like EduFire is that because it's a global audience, you may be able to say, I want to learn this really obscure topic, and there might not be anybody nearby you that can teach you that. But when you open up to the world, there's almost always someone out there who's got the expertise that can teach you that subject. So we'll do some more stuff with demand-driven learning. We'll definitely do some more stuff with our community. We've got a fantastic community at EduFire, and it's been really neat to see how that's been growing. So there's a lot of stuff in the works right now, and we're just really excited for what the future holds.
And as I think many of my viewers will be teachers themselves, so if you could give like one advice only for all the teachers out there, what would you tell them?
I think the biggest thing for teachers is to realize that EduFire, we always call EduFire a joint venture. So, the teachers that do the best in EduFire are the ones who they show up, they put their class on the schedule, they not only, put their stake in the ground on EduFire, but they also work to, grow their base of students using things like Twitter and Facebook and, posting an ad to Craigslist and doing a lot of these things to really build their audience. The teachers who've done that have largely been very successful on our site. The teachers who struggle a little bit more are the teachers who come to the site, they put their class up, and then they don't do anything. And, they'll maybe get, a couple of students or whatever, but it's not really the same experience for them. So we always tell our teachers, we're going to work to market EduFire. We're going to work to market, a lot of the classes and a lot of our teachers. But in order to be truly successful on the site, you need to come in with the approach of you're going to put some legwork into it as well. And what's great for the teachers is that they're able to do that. Literally, the sky is the limit. I mean, if a teacher can bring on, we had a a couple of teachers who came on board and literally brought, pretty big audiences with them, and immediately they were running classes with, 15, 20, 30, 40 students in them. And if a teacher thinks about it the long term and that ability to build an audience, there's no, I think, better investment for them than to set up shop on a place like EduFire and really start to build, a group of people that's passionate about taking their classes.
Okay, so thank you, Jon. Thank you very much for this great interview, especially as it's the first one for EduQuest. And as always, it's a tremendous pleasure talking to you, and I'm looking forward to the months ahead, watching EduFire grow and offering a great place for teachers to revolutionize education.
That's great. Thank you. It's a privilege to be the guest on your first episode. Thanks.